Hello punters and welcome back to another Saturday racing review. Of course, in this video we have a look at all of the results from weekend racing as well as the runners to follow going into spring, looking to build a bit of a black book going forward. Looking at, of course, at the results from my tips from each of the races, just so you following at home can, if you're looking to jump on board and get behind some of my tips, you can understand sort of the success rate that I'm going at and how I'm seeing them, I guess, going into spring. So looking at Moonee Valley first and foremost, look at race number 1. We had a few nice returns and a few good wins there. Of course, in the first race, we got off to a fantastic start. I tipped Juniper on top of the $7.50 on the Thursday ahead of Saturday racing, and it was a really nice win. It was quite comfortable in the end. I thought the horse just seemed to be the class edge of the race. Look, this horse, now that it's got its second win, I mean, that's its second win from 13 starts, so it's really starting to build. But it's been a lot of good races, so we know it's up to the company. So I definitely would say to follow it going forward. I still think this horse got a bit of ability in it. Of course, that race, Shot of Irish came second. It's been up and about, and if you like a place bet, then Shot of Irish is usually a pretty good one to go with. Dane Thunder, of course, got him for third. I did have that in my numbers as a bit of an each-way play as well, so that was a nice run by it as well. But look, for me, out of the race, I know it's easy to take the winner, but I just thought Juniper out of those leading to spring's the one we want to be with. I can't really see a ton of progression in terms of bigger racing into spring from some of these other runners. Happy to be proven wrong, of course, as always, but just from what I saw, Juniper was definitely the one that we're looking to follow going in. So it was a great day to start off the Valley meeting, of course. Race number 2, wow, De Beer, what a sensational win that was. This horse, of course, from Ireland. It was only its fourth race start here in Australia, and in particular in Victoria. But that was a terrific win. It just had the race set up nicely, just sitting just in mind the speed, and it really just put out and put them away very quickly. And it was a very soft win in the end by De Beer. So this is definitely a horse to follow. It looks like it enjoyed the extra ground, get out to the 2,500 metres, and definitely enjoys the better track. Of course, we've got the upgrade to the good 4. At this stage, it was a soft 5. During race number 2, but this horse definitely, and I think the was mentioned post race that this horse just doesn't like the heavy, so a bit of a forgive run to start prior. But this horse, yeah, definitely is going to be one to follow going into spring. I think it'll be testing some better company very soon, because that was a very arrogant win in a benchmark 78 in race number 2. Look, out of the rest of them, look, my horse in that race, I did like De Beer. I just thought. I wanted to see it first. I saw the ability early in the prep. I just wanted to see it again. My horse, good idea, ran 6 in the race. Well, it was just boxed on okay. Just got caught when the sprint went on. That they went pretty slight front. De Beer really took the race away from the rest. So for me, De Beer is just the one to follow out of that race. Moving into race number 3, and of course this was over the 1,200 metres, and this horse, Sassy Solitage, was a real surprise win. I mean, it was heavily supported. It was $12 into $6 right for the jump, and it won very nicely. It beat some pretty nice horses in that race, and this horse definitely might be one to follow. It's obviously got a bit of a backing behind it, and coming from a synthetic into a Moonee Valley win and winning the way it did, it was a very impressive run. So definitely be looking to follow that going in the future. Really like the run of number 1, La 10. Now this course was won this Group 2 size produce back in autumn, and it's obviously going to go over much further. I thought that run first up over 1,200 metres was terrific, and it was a big odds. I gave it a bit of a chance. I just thought I wanted to see it over a bit further, and I think once it gets out at 1,400, 1,500 metres, this horse is going to be really one to follow going through. In for third, number 2, Kuri Rupp. That was a top run as well. It was deep in the field and really did come on nicely, hit the line well. So I'll be looking to back that one second up as well. If obviously if all these go around the same race, that will cause a bit of a headache. But that was a really nice run. My horse in that race, number 4, number 7, Deserved, went around at $21 odds. Unfortunately, we just got him for 4th. But Jamie Carr was really happy with the run, and I think this horse has got a bit of ability in it as well, and it can go into bigger and better things going into spring. In terms of what kind of racing, not too sure, but I still thought it was quite a good run. There was a few others. I mean, Lady Lapino was a little bit disappointing, but it literally did exactly what I thought would happen. I didn't have it in my numbers because I thought this horse is definitely looking for further, and for me that proved to be the case. It sort of pulled up just when the sprint went on, just didn't really come into it. But look, I think that race, race number 3 at Moonee Valley, is definitely one to follow going in the future. I think it's going to be a great form reference leading into spring, with all the 3-year-olds in that race, of course. Moving into race number 4 is a 1200 metre benchmark 84. That was won by Algodon Miss, who just loves the valley. Every time this horse made it 3 from 3, it was a terrific win. She's been up and about for a while now, and been very competitive through Saturday racing during winter. I'd say look, in terms of going to spring, probably not one to follow, but when she's at the Valley, geez, she'll definitely be knocking off some of those high benchmark races like she's been doing here, I'd say, and be getting a couple of nice wins. So whenever she's at the Valley, you've got to give her a great chance going forward. I really did like the run of number 9, Fabric. They, of course, brought this horse back. Dan O'Brien brought this horse back in distance. I think that was a bit of a sharpen up. It was a terrific performance. So second up, it steps it back out in distance again. I really want to get on this horse next time around. So one to fly out of the race for me was number 9, Fabric. I was quite impressed with that run in for third. Race number 5, it was the listed Carleon Stakes, and assertive approach, just dictated terms and kicked away and won nicely. It was a very good run, good win. Rebounded, of course, off that $1.70 beating that it got the start prior to the inevitable up the straight at Flemington. And for me, this horse going forward, I think Wayne Hawke said it, this time next year, it's going to be a really top horse. So it'll be one to follow for the future. As for spring, not sure what they're going to do with it. Whether they'll maybe run him around one more time, give him a spell after that. I don't think this horse will go too deep into spring. I think they might keep it fresh. And as Wayne Hawke said, it would be a lot better next preparation. So one to follow for the future. But in terms of spring, number 2, Bonds Away, was terrific. This horse obviously is up to the level and absolutely bolted home late. It was really unlucky not to really get up, to be honest. There was not a lot of speed in the race. Nothing really came from the back, but Bonds Away did, weaved its way through. I know it got a nice run up the inside, but gee, it hit the line well. Want to be backing that next time out. And for me, look, number 5, Spirit of Valor was my pick in that race. A little bit disappointing, but the Mayor's team were pretty happy with it, as was Mark Zara. This horse will be better over 1200. I mean, I was a little bit concerned about that. That was my one query going into the race, whether the 1000 metres would be too sharp, but went on it for a bit of a class factor. But we know this horse is up to it. Came second in Group 1 Manicato, so we know that this horse will be competing in some good races come spring. Just maybe look for the 1200 metres in the future. Race number 6, Romancer won the race there, and it was another nice favourite that got up for the favourite backers. For me, out of this race, I was really impressed with number 9, Mosh Music. This horse is definitely going to be one to follow. She obviously finished in her 5th. Was a specialist at the Valley last preparation over the 2,040 metres, and I'd say it was a good run over the 1,520 metres. I didn't have her on top because I just thought it'd be too short of a distance, but she really did run well, and I'll be looking to follow her into the spring. Of course, my selection in that race was number 10, Strike Force. Had some good betting support, got it at $14 on the Thursday night. Unfortunately, though, it got beaten in a photo finish for third, so we didn't really get a return out of that, which was a little bit disappointing, but it was a nice run. Just as Michael Poise said, post-race, it just wasn't able to come into the race after missing the start. It sort of missed start, had to make up a lot of ground off one of the inside barriers, and just used that energy too early. I'd say would have been much closer, would have definitely been in the placings if it hadn't missed the jump. But another horse to follow, I think, is number 1, Volk, Stock and Barrel. This horse, of course, former Singapore horse, ran in group racing over there. Thought it was a pretty good run as well behind Mosh Music. So definitely will be better over further. It came off a long break in between runs. So this horse might be one to follow. Probably 3rd or 4th up. We'll wait and see what it does second start. But definitely be looking back into the future. I think this horse does have a bit of ability, as its former races show us. Moving to race number 7 at the Valley, and it was, of course, the Mackenzie Stakes. It was won well by Condors Express, which we obviously had on top. Beat Hightail and Hawker Hurricane. I think this would be a really nice form reference, similarly to what I said earlier with the other 3-year-old race. And I think a lot of these will be going forward into spring. Be looking to back them going forward. Look, Condos Express got the perfect run, won like a good horse, and be one to follow. It just hasn't done anything wrong in all its starts so far. I'm not sure how far this horse will go. Obviously, if it gets tested over into better racing, not really too sure exactly how far the limit is. Hightail is pretty good in for second. Hawker Hurricane looked to be travelling well, just didn't handle the bend properly. So But I do think that horse got a bit of ability, and Michael Moroney might even consider taking it back to Flemington or maybe even up to Sydney, perhaps. Another horse I thought was alright, Treaty Seville was pretty good. And another one that Jordan Charles reported that Independent Road just had a few problems in this, but will be a lot better. And Craig Williams also mentioned that Exeter pretty much was a forgive run, so we could probably keep an eye on that going in the future because it went out $16 odds, finished last. We can guarantee next time out it'll go around at big odds unless they contest a much easier race. But I think that's not a bad form race either. I think the top three have a bit of ability, and there's a couple that maybe are a bit unlucky in the run. Moving to race number 8, and of course, again, we had another winner. We went back to back. We had Tavasan Salute, got on the speed, dictated the terms, and won nicely, exactly how we predicted it would happen. And it really got crunched late, got backed right into, I think it was about $2.60 in the end on the fix. On actually seeing here, the starting price got into $2.40 even. So this horse was extremely well backed. We've got it in at $3.80 on the Thursday night, and I'm hoping that he followed us in. But the horse that I did like, liked the way that Epic Grey ran. I thought that was a really good win first up for Lindsay Smith. Had a little bit of support, and first run here in Victoria was a very good win. So might be one to follow. Holbein ran a good race at odds. We did have that now numbers to run a good place chance. One to follow out of that race. I really would like to follow number 4, Mahamadonis. Had a bit of time with this horse, and gee, did it charge the line well. And I mean, Matt Hill called it in the race call. Really ended up jumping on the back of the heels of the runners that front that were easing, because it was going through the line that quickly. Really powered home, and it went around 100 to 1 odds, which really stunned me. Really, I mean, it was far from that. It's got a bit of ability, this horse, and it's going to be much better over the mile. So I think that first up run was terrific, and we'll definitely be looking to back that coming into future runs. Turbium was very disappointing as was a drifting favourite in the end, but I would have liked to see more of it going forward. So I was a bit disappointed with that run. Moving on into race number 9, final race of the day, and of course it was won by Kentucky Breeze. It was a very nice win. This horse has been up and about for a little while now, and so I'm not really sure in terms of going to spring how much we can go into this, but there's one horse I think we could take into spring. It's number 5, Harrison. Ran a top race in for 4th for Liam Howley. And I thought that this horse going forward has got a bit of ability. It's obviously run well in a few race starts here in Victoria. So I think that this horse has a bit of ability. I mean, you're looking back at second in the Mornington Cup. Sorry, that was not in the Mornington Cup. The Ansett Classic behind the likes of Harry Poor and Hush Rider. That's pretty good form. And then, of course, was taken around in the Bart Cummings. So they've had a high opinion of this horse for a little while, and finished behind Trap for Fools as well at the Valley last preparation in the spring. So this horse has a bit of ability. I think we can follow it into the spring. I thought that was a really nice run by it as well. But for me, out of the race, that's probably the only one I really would want to follow going into spring. But it was a pretty nice return. So, look, we've got a couple of runners to follow from Moonee Valley. We were terrific. We got 4 from 9 winners. I was very happy with the return that we got off the track. I just thought overall, great race day at the Valley. Really building up into some good racing now. We've got some good runners to take into the future. Look, I am going to get to Randwick very shortly. Of course, that was the big meeting of the day, including the Group 1 Winx Stakes. But just first, I'm going to go across the Morphettville. We're going to sort of make our way up and looking at a few of the races there and the results that we got. Looking at race number 1, of course, in this race, didn't decide to have a bet. And I struggled to say this name last time. It was Rocker Bassarana. It was a pretty nice winner there, and won by 3.2 lengths. And for the Jollies, who are absolutely flying at the moment, they've got a really good stable up and going here. And off just the one trial, that was an impressive win. So that was only its second race start. It's had 2 wins out of Fighting Sun. I think this horse might have a bit of ability. We have seen the Jollies take horses across here to Victoria, so I think that might be one we can follow. I thought it was a terrific win, and at race number 1, there's not too many at Morphettville that I want to take into spring, but that is definitely one of them. So it was the winner in race number 1. Here we go. I'll give it another crack. Rocker Bassarana. Moving to race number 2 was over the 2,500 metres, benchmark 82. It was very keen on Bling Dynasty, and it saluted nicely. It was a good win, just got over Sasco late. Of course, was tipped in at $5.50. couple of nights prior. It was a nice win. It was a very good win for Paul Pruska, who then, moving to race number 3, got the running double with Artie Lucas saluting very nicely in the 2,000 metre race. Took a little while to get there, but once it got past them, it really did put them away nicely, and it was a nice win. Not sure if I want to necessarily follow the spring. Obviously, be around and racing some good races. Just not sure how far they can get with it. I mean, looking back at its former runs, obviously it's run all the way through spring, so through winter. So this horse might be coming towards the end of its prep, but certainly was a good win, and it was nice to get the running double early at Moorfield to build up a nice little bank there. Race number 4, well, didn't have a bet in this race, and in the end, probably it was won by Aguilette. Jeez, I've got to get better with these names. Some of these are very tricky. It was a nice win though, but won by 2.5 lengths. And this horse for trainer Jamie McMillan was it was just coming off a spell. But for me, looking back at its form, can't really see too much reason to say this horse has got like a stack of ability necessarily. I mean, won a nice race, being Spielberg Aristocratic Miss back in April there, and also back in March at won as well at Moorfield. So this horse definitely is run fresh. They often give it a bit of a spell, but going forward, I just don't think we can follow much out of that race going into the bigger race in spring. Benchmark 86, well, there is one horse I want to follow here, and it knocked out my chance. I was very keen on number 1 Arrow Lane in that race, but it was a terrific win by number 8 Parry Fire. This horse has obviously had a lot of ability. It's running some good races. They've just never really been able to get it up, and they decided to geld the horse, and it looks like it's worked well, because that was a terrific win over the 1,050 metres. It was easy. Just took a little while to get there. It still did a bit wrong. It ran about in the late stages, but this horse got a bit of ability. We know that, and if they can get it right, and they can get the manners right in this horse, it really could do anything. So I'm happy to follow that. It's race number 5, number 8 Parry Fire for the Hayes Dabnett Yard. We're looking to follow that into spring. Race number 6, it was a benchmark 64 over the 1,100 metres, and of course in this race didn't have had Ammonamenesis, and it was really well backed late. I mean, it had it on top leading into the meeting at $6, got backed right into $3.80, but unfortunately it was a really disappointing run. Don't know if it didn't handle the surface or whatnot, but out of that race for me, nothing really to follow going forward into the big races in spring. Race number 7, benchmark 86 over the 1,600. Of course, in this race we had Tantat Trusting, who hit the line well, was just way too far back, and was never able to come into it for Louis German. It was a bit disappointing, ran 7th in the end. For me, again, some of these have been up and about for a little while now. Tatouche, Wasabi Bob, Shrouded and Missed. So for me, going forward, I can't say whether we can necessarily follow any with massive confidence. I thought Wasabi Bob was good, and it's building up to a bigger distance. So, of course, once this horse gets out at 2,000, I think it's going to relish it really well. So that was a top run over the mile for that horse. But, yeah, for me, going forward, just can't really see anything that pops out off the page going to back next start. Of course, we had a bit of a gap between. We went from race 3 to race 8, but we got Bayou in the last. We tipped it into Salute at very nice odds. Ended up paying $9 on the fixed odds and $12.90 on the tote, $3.70 for the place. So that was a really nice win. And look, Bayou's been up and about for a little while. Magic Sunset was pretty good. This horse is lightly raced and hasn't had many race starts, and it was a bit of a tough run for it. But I mean, it had its chance to win, I thought. But I guess it was 3 wide, no cover, so I can maybe have a forgive run on that and perhaps back in the next start. But again, for me, leading into spring, nothing really I want to take us into going forward. So moving on now to, of course, Randwick. We're going to go to the Group 1 racing of the Winx Stakes. We'll get to that eventually further down the card. But just to give me a sec. Sorry, friends, we're just moving back into it now. I just had to bring up the results from Randwick, of course. Looking at the first race, the Tab Highway. In this race, we had number 2 Rioli, who did hit the line pretty well. It was just way too far back. Was never able to come on into that race. So, but again, as I usually do say with highways, nothing really to follow into spring. Of course, we do have the Kosciuszko, so we can keep an eye on a highway or two, see if we can find something to go into the Kosciuszko with. But from what I saw on the weekend, nothing really too much as of yet for me. Moving to race number 2, of course, in this race had Adana on top, and oh man, it was a horror watch, wasn't it? I mean, it just never. Karen McAvoy just really had it in behind a wall and just could never give it a clear run. Look, am I willing to forgive? I really don't know, because I'm starting running out of patience with this horse. I've backed it a lot of times now and tipped in a lot of times, and it just keeps on finding trouble and not getting the chance to prove it. But I would have liked to have just probably seen a little bit more from it. I mean, going through the line, I know it never really had the chance, but I just would have liked to have seen it really finish off to indicate to me that it's going well. So, look, and out of that race, I mean, Travancore had its chance. Valentine Ross was a nice winner, but leading to spring, for me, nothing too much to go forward on. Race number 3, of course, was nudged out by True Detective, who got the protest on Superior, but Superior's return was excellent. I really thought that was a nice win. Obviously went first past the post, but it got turned around in a protest. But I thought it was a really good run by Superior first up. True Detective, of course, is well into its prep by now, so I think Superior is the one to follow that race. I mean, True Detective was good, but I just think Superior will get the most benefit out of that run, of course, being first up. Other runners to look for. I thought Ethereum was okay. First up, I'd like to be seeing a little bit more before I can strongly go into spring with it. But I think it's definitely, we all know the ability of Ethereum. It's got a lot of ability. As for the rest, look, nothing really stands out to me off the page. Lichcello's been up for a little while. Edison's was run okay. But I think leading to spring, they're the sort of ones we're going to look at. I think True Detective, Superior, and then maybe Ethereum. We'll just have to wait for the next run, I think. Moving to race number 4. This was, of course, over 2,400 metres, and we may have unearthed a potential good star in the ranks, and it's number 5, our candidate, who was really heavily supported and jumped as a favourite, won. And look, I'll hold my hands up. I thought this horse was a bit too short in the odds, but really came out and proved itself once again. So I think this horse is definitely one to follow going into spring. I think it's got a bit of ability, and I think it can step up to the better class and really run a top race. Thoughts, my selection, of course, Scully. Like, again, all good things each way. It finished 4th. But for me, I can't really back it going forward now. I think it's had its chance over 2 runs now to really prove something. It's obviously had a 3rd and a 4th, so it's been around the money. Just would like to see it do something really good to really stamp itself, and for me to go, right, this is a horse going forward we want to follow. Look, Gaiatry was okay. Thought it had its chance as well. So I thought our candidates probably was the clear standout, the one I really do want to follow leading into spring. I thought Desert Path was okay as well. I've always had a bit of time with this horse. I think it's got a bit of ability, but again, want to be seeing a little bit more. It was 5.3 lengths off the winner. So in terms of overturning the table somewhere down the line, could always happen, but I want to be seeing a little bit more from it. Race number 5, of course, this race, again, I said with my concerns Libertini just off the trials. She just continued to get backed in. They just smashed her late, and she really slewed and stamped herself as a very good horse going forward. She now has a bit of, sorry, I nearly jumped out of my skin there. I just had something fall on me there. Jeez. Sorry, man. That can give you guys some entertainment at home. I'm going to leave that in rather than cut that out. But, anyway, sorry, back into it. Libertini was terrific. This horse is really going to be one to follow, and she really did demolish him, and it makes it hard to follow any of the rest of them. I thought Flit did hit the line pretty well, and this horse got big spruik on it, so we can maybe follow Flit, but gee, Libertini, she's probably the one out of the whole meeting you really want to follow going into spring now. This horse has got serious ability, and she proved it, that the trials, that she really is flying, and she has got a stack of ability, so we'll be following Libertini into spring. Of course, sorry to sit quickly in that race. My selection, Pretty Brazen, was a little bit disappointing. I mean, it was on the speed. They just went way too hard out front, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. Just came off the bit, and really, once it got swooped, it just tailed out of the race. So a little bit disappointing there. Deprive got the job done, albeit in, I guess controversial circumstances, just nudging out Trope when it looked like they hit the line pretty much together. Really, I mean, but we'll leave that to the stewards. They're of course they're the experts with that. Looking at other ones, I thought Cascadian's run was great first up in Australia, and so that'll be one to follow for me. I think this horse got a bit of ability going forward. And gee, my selection, Baller and Dothraki, they weren't that far off them, but they both had their chance. I was very confident when they both run. Baller got that run through and looked to be cruising under Glenn Boss. Then it just seemed to fold a bit. Dothraki then looked like he was going to go on and win at huge odds, so I was so hopeful, but neither of them got the job done. Another horse to follow, I think we can follow Trope and Deprive. I mean, they've both got a lot of ability. Bonhomie was terrific, and just continues to stay around. This horse is very consistent. Contemplatiro is a nice return as well. So I think there's some very nice form race, and we can follow a few out of that. Look, I'm a big fan of Baller, but I just sort of had its chance that race, and in terms of back at next start, I probably can't do. For me, I had not a whole lot of excuses. I respect the horse, got a lot of ability, but for me, I was quite disappointed with the run, considering it had all its chance in the world. Moving to race number 7 of the Wing Stakes, and it was a massive blowout. Samadout just, Timmy Clark pulled the pants down, caught them all napping, just sped away and gave a great kick, as Bourne Baker's horses can sometimes do. And it was a terrific training performance by Bourne and Bjorn, and this horse was first up, and it was a very good win. So definitely want to follow. Look, Villiers' run was pretty good. Obviously, as I did mention, I wasn't keen to have him on top because I thought he's going to be looking for further. He's got bigger races in mind. So I was happy to leave him out there. But he ran a good race. Happy Clapper was terrific. He really does find his cape in New South Wales. And I hope they keep him there because that's where he runs his best races, the old boy. Invincible Gem was great again. Really poked through in the line late. So maybe Chris Lee's got this horse right now. That's 2 good runs in a row. So I'm sure this horse will be winning something soon. I also thought Kingsford Dream and Unforgotten both ran terrific races also. They hit the line very nicely. Obviously, they're going to be looking for further, so I'll be happy to follow them going forward. For me, look, I liked Best of Days and Very Elegant. Both were pretty disappointing in my books. And I know Very Elegant's got a stack of ability, would be a lot better over further, but I'm going to have to see it before I back her again. That was pretty disappointing for me, that run. I would have liked her to at least hit the line well. Race number 8, Mizzy was terrific, a great win, and those who followed me in Soothing got really let alone and went right out to $16, and very stiff. It was about to go through and win. Mizzy sort of came out, and as such, Tommy Berry just had a copper suspension for, and probably cost Soothing the race, and it was a bit disappointing really. I was hoping that it might have just got through and won. Mizzy was terrific though, great return to racing by her, and interestingly, I did have these sort of 3 around the mark, and My Expression, I gave it a bit of a chance at big odds, and it ran a terrific race at massive odds, and got in for 3rd late, so might be a horse to follow. Dyslexic ran a good race, definitely be looking for that over further. And look, Kia Micha was disappointing. I was hoping for a better run from her. And also Alassio was another disappointing runner. So there's a few disappointments, but I think Soothing and Mizzy were both great runs. My Expression was a great return. Happy to follow My Expression going forward. And I thought Dyslexic in for 4. So probably all the top 4. I know it's very easy to do, but I think that top 4 were all good, really good runs, and we're happy to follow them into spring. Moving to the final race of the card, and Sweet Deal got it done again. This horse looks to be learning itself now, and Prime Candidate gave a good kick, and I'm happy to keep following Prime Candidate going into spring because I thought that was a good run out front, and Tim Clark almost got the job done again, but Nash just lifted Sweet Deal over the line once again, so I'm happy to follow those 2. Rohan was pretty disappointing, but never really, I thought, got its chance from back in the field. I just would have liked to have seen it hit the line a little bit better, but I thought Karif hit the line well. Of course, this horse is going to be much better over further, so Karif, said Karif before, however you want to pronounce it, but I think that horse has got some ability, especially will be over further, so as we see this horse get over the further distances, I think that'd be one we can entertain backing as well. Looking at the Gold Coast meeting, final meeting, of course, this review, just about to wrap it up and get myself into the tomorrow's racing, where of course I'll be previewing Sandown and also Warwick Farm and giving my tips there. Just when the Gold Coast meeting decides it wants to load. Moving to race number 1 over 2,200 metres. Course out selection there, Boom Boom Epic, finished in for 2nd. It was a pretty good run, really, and wasn't all that far off. It's only beaten 0.3 of a length. I thought for a second we might have been able to get up, but still a top run at nice odds. But for me, again, Similarly to Moorfields, not a whole lot out of this I want to follow going forward, but one of those I do want to follow is this horse was smashed in the market. It was Astro Boy Toy, and it came back off a little freshen up and it won really nice. This horse now had 2 wins and a second to its name. The second, of course, was behind Stamp, who has been flying. So this horse, in terms of spring aspirations, maybe I won't be going into too many fantastic races, but looks a good 3-year-old colt on the rise, and I might be, you know, I might entertain you following it going forward. I thought Scathing's run was also pretty good in that race as well. I of course, didn't have anything in that race because I liked Astro Toy Boy, but it was way too short in the market. Moving to the third race over the 800 metres, of course, in this one I had Merendi, who finished in for third at 12's 10th place. Allwood won well there, and Vaucluse Bay was only just narrowly edged out, but they've been up for a little while now. So for me, nothing really going forward into spring that I wanted to be saying we add to the black book or back next time around. I mean, obviously, they're going to be still racing some good races up there in Queensland, but in terms of group racing and black type, listed level, won't be having too much there. But this horse was a pretty good win, though. Number 1, Boom Chicka Boom. I've always had a bit of time for this one, but I just thought that all the pressure up front would be too much, but it really fought off the pressure and won nicely. Won like a good horse. I thought Sister Kitty Mac, this former Victorian horse, went around at massive 100 to 1 odds and was definitely well over the odds. Ran a good race as well. My selection in that race, as good each way things do, came fourth. Number 5, Power Command for Chris Lees. But for me, look out of that race. I mean, you can probably follow Boom Chicka Boom going forward. Especially over the 1,000 metres, 900 metres. I thought number 8, Sister Kitty Mac, was pretty good for the new stable up there, so perhaps one to follow as well. Race number 5 over 1,100 metres. This one, of course, in this race didn't have a bet in this one, and as such, Kabirian won and won nicely at big odds. Dream Master was extremely well backed in this race and backed Jackson Murphy out of the saddle, so might be one that you want to follow next time out because it might go around at bigger odds just because it obviously didn't finish the race off. It's going to have to go and do a trial now. But if it gets to the trial, runs nicely, I could definitely entertain back it next start just because it was the sheer weight of money on it was backed really well on that occasion. Moving to race number 6, and it was over the... And again, another former Victorian in number 3, Langro, of course, former Mick Price, won well up there. Was a good 4-length win, so I think this horse is back pretty well. And going into spring, look, again, not sure if we can necessarily follow it into big races. I don't know what the aspirations are for it, but that certainly was a very good win. I know it'll go around probably pretty short next time out, but it's definitely one you can follow if you're going to have a bet up in Queensland. Follow number 3, Langro. That was a terrific win. In that race, my bet was scratched out of the race, so didn't get the chance to... Oh, no, it wasn't. Sorry, different race. Number 16, Veronese, just was caught nappy bit. Wasn't that far off getting the placings, really. It was only 0.4 of a length off second. Finished in 5th in the end. Moving to race number 7 at the